Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell / midday market report for Friday, July 29, 2022. Yes, the weekend is here. Yes, we have a full slate of MLB. Yes, it's the trade deadline. Yes, the BS meters are as high as they can get. Yes, the Red Sox keep stinking. UFC this weekend. Can't wait to watch Amanda. I want to see which Amanda shows up. We had Zaid Hussein on yesterday, breaking that down. Some CFL tonight and through the weekend as well. Dan Alexander on vacation, on assignment. That means the beach somewhere, I think in North Carolina. Be back next Friday. Scotty alive all day here. So I was like, you know what? Let's try something different. Let's move it up a couple hours. Let's give him the evening off, and myself with the family. A lot of stuff going on here this weekend. So kind of helps everyone. So Angels taking calls for Babe Ruth. This is as comical as it gets because, a couple of days ago, Mike Trout's doctor or team manager, team doctor comes out and says C5, whatever, and back issues that's going to be there on spine or whatever it is for the rest of his life. Mike comes out a day later and says he's not worried, he's not concerned. I just want to ask everyone this, and I'm going to ask Scott this. It's starting to be a problem where Mike Trout is nowhere to be found here as the Angels just flounder. And it happened last year. He got hurt, comes back hurt, done for the year. It gets to a point where he gets all lathered up. Why is he going to play in September if they're meaningless games? I love Mike. I wish he was on a team that more people could enjoy him because he's a freak of nature. But again, it looks like someone that has been breaking down religiously year after year now. Their piece moving forward is Shohei. Why should they be shopping Shohei? I know Mike's contract is huge, and I know he's injured. I would be looking to move on from Mike versus Shohei, and they're never going to trade Shohei. No, listen. I'll give you, Xander. I'll give you Devers. I'll give you Evaldi. I'll give you JD Martinez, and what else do you want? Yeah, take them all. We're not resigning them. You can have them. Good luck there, and then we'll take Shohei back. How's that sound? So, anyways, let's bring him in from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Afternoon, Scotty.
Hey, Jeff. It's what is today? It's the end of the week, Friday, I suppose. I guess that's what they call it, somewhere in the neighborhood. And what if I told you that 6 of these games today out of 15, so almost half, are like minus 250 or better, for God's sakes. And then you got
I'll stop you right there and say
crazy.
This. I'll say this. If you bet all 6 dogs, I'm just going to go on a limb that say, if you bet them all for the same, I will almost guarantee you even or profit. How's that
sound? Well, I mean, you can do that, I suppose. I think that today you have, my pitching board has not a lot of red on it. There's a lot of green. So, I'm looking at this going, holy shit. There's some good pitchers pitching today, and some of them are facing off against each other. And then there's somebody going large on the Yankees. No runs in the first inning. So it's one of these scenarios here where that's Kiefer. There's a lot going on here today, I think, in Major League Baseball, and I also think that some of these guys are just waiting for the shoe to fall. I mean, there's guys out there that, Bell for Washington, and these guys that are all on the trade talks, and Montas and and Castillo and all these guys, and when's the shoe going to fall? And then there'll be some surprises out there that nobody saw coming. And but I'm also a little disappointed that we haven't had a lot of that already. That we should have had some movement. So it kind of tells me, that when you start to think about it, there's teams that need to secure their postseason. Meaning, say, like the Yankees, right? We don't think they're as good as the Astros, for example. So how do they get better than the Astros? What do they got to do? So maybe they get some moves like that, and you see some of that kind of stuff. But they're not trying to make the playoffs; they're trying to win the World Series. So then you got teams like the Dodgers, who I think are just showing how good they are. In a sense that. That they don't have their guys. I mean, they've been hurt all season. The pitchers are like, holy shit, who's this guy? And he goes out there and, no hits a team or whatever. So, it's just, that's how good they are. But, are they good in a series, right? So they need some dominant pitching in a series because, they don't have Walker Buehler.
I was just going to say, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm shitting my pants because they don't match up against the Mets.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't. And they're doing this without Bauer, without Buehler. They're doing this.
Kershaw hasn't pitched all year.
So the fact of the matter is, in a series against the Mets, it doesn't matter how long their their lineup is, because Max and a healthy DeGrom, there's DJ, I heard the Mets. Max and a healthy DeGrom are just going to mush right through them. And Diaz is locked in right now. Diaz is locked in.
Think about what they're going to line up there. They're going to put, what do they got? Gonsolin. They got Gonsolin, Urias, and Anderson. There you go. Of course, they have Kershaw. But the point being is that, those guys are going to get them through the season. They're not going to get them so they're going to have to be really hot on offense. And, these dominant pitchers can beat you in these short series like that. So, you're going to have some of these teams that are already going to win their divisions that are going to need to get some stuff. And then you got other teams that, you got to figure out where they are. We talked about Baltimore yesterday. You talk about Boston, you talk about some of these teams, the Giants, for example, the Giants should not go for it because they're not going to make it. They don't got enough pitching, right? They don't got enough offense. So, but the point being is, I think you're going to see some stuff happen that we don't know what that is and haven't heard because all the little noise and little snippets that you're hearing, that's just scratching the surface. Something big is going to happen.
I want to get something off my chest, but I don't want to leave where we're going right there before we dive into the board, because the rumblings are right now that the Padres are the leaders in the clubhouse for Soto. And obviously, if they got Soto and didn't have to give up a Tatis, I don't think obviously they would give up a Tatis. The fact of the matter is that a healthy Tatis with a Soto, with the Padre pitching, they need something in that back end too. They're real sketchy in that back end. But again, I think they even match up better. They're better equipped if they could pull off a deal like that for a Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers, and St. Louis just lurking in the background. We've been talking about them all year. And that's that one team. I'm not calling them this year's Braves, but they're kind of made up that way. And their pitching staff, I know they don't have the guns, the Frieds, the Wrights that Atlanta was wheeling out last year, but they are just sitting in the weeds. I think they're the dangerous one. But I just want to circle back because we got a lot of people watching. And I'm hoping it's the same people that were watching and listening yesterday, because, guys, I preach here to trust and respect the opening number. And the one number that just was bugging the shit out of me yesterday was the over-under in the Toronto game. Now, where I'm going with this is the overnight under-over was 8.5, okay? The corrected number was 9.5. Then across the pond, they switched it to 10. Circa switches it to 10. By the time we finished this show, everyone had it almost to 10. The team totals: Toronto 5.5 juiced under, Toronto 3.5 juiced over. Final score: Toronto 5, Detroit 3. So again, every one of those pieces were the under. So a lot of times when you guys are at work, you can't follow the board like we do. And what happens is you turn on wherever you guys follow, and you start to see this movement, this steam, whatever you want to call it. A lot of times I like to say is the game gets stale. And they're like, how can we drum up some action on this game? Well, they played that one as perfect as you could get. They said, all right, watch this. We're going to take the 9.5. We're going to move it to 10. And then the team total stayed the same. It's magical how they bleep and do that. It is.
Well, I know the they you're referring to is Vegas on this stuff. I make my own lines and I make my own numbers and I do all this stuff. And, I sit here and I look at this and as that stuff kind of rolls out and some of these numbers are the way they are, I understand where they come from. I understand how they're made. And everybody that, and this is no disrespect to people and how they believe and how they go. The number is the number, but they are good because they have an anticipated understanding of what the public's going to do or what the money's going to look like as it comes in. So there's going to be some shading and some different things to try to help with that. So I don't do any of that stuff because, I'm not a sports book. But I would tell you that until you get the experience of doing this for 30 years like you do, it's very difficult for someone to walk in and go, I understand what's happening with this line, because you really don't. The truth of the matter is that the line is set at a certain number, and then they go and they say, okay, well, what's the expectation rate on the volume and kind of what are we expecting to see? So they kind of shade things different ways to help them out. So their risk management is good. And if you can read through some of that stuff, that's great. But if you're a newbie at doing these things, I'm going to tell you to follow along until you learn the mechanics of how that works and what you're supposed to look at, because the truth of the matter is you can get lost. You can get lost in guessing, and you don't want to guess at what's going on and what's happening. Now, I will tell you that when we had our conversation yesterday, my side of that story was Detroit can't hit. I don't know how they're going to score a bunch of runs, even if it was Kikuchi on the mound. So you're going to get a whole bunch of runs out of one side. Well, I mean, you could, I suppose, but I mean, I look at things a little differently than perspective wise than what you're looking at. But at the same time, I think we came to the same conclusion yesterday. I think it was very difficult for me to get to where they were trying to get to. And I think you saw maybe the same thing. So as we kind of look at these things, that's kind of what's unique about you and I on these shows together is we do the same stuff, just different ways to get there. And sometimes we agree on things and sometimes we don't. So it is kind of what it is. So I felt kind of bad. I played the same game two ways yesterday, right? I played on the Philadelphia Phillies against the Pirates, and I gave out that bigger number, and they just destroyed them. I mean, it was, hey, SoCal DJin, how are you? And it was just a landslide, just pummeling. It was 8-2. Then the final, so I played it two ways. I played it on the run line, so I played it -1.5, and I also played it minus the 180 or whatever that number was. I don't remember. I think it was 180. Regardless, it didn't matter. The 180 was basically, I thought, a no-brainer. Well, hell, the final score was 8-7. They gave up 5 runs in the 9th inning and it made it 8-7. So I split that game. And I'm not upset. I mean, it's baseball's baseball. That's what happens. It kind of is what it is. But that's one of the ones that you bunk your head on and you go, holy shit, that sucked. And then you go on to the next day. But at least you got the -180. That paid whatever. And then however you played it, and then the cheaper one. That's what happens when you try to get a little bit cute. But I thought we had that one.
A couple things. There's a TikTok video, and I know it's out there on social media. When I was out in Vegas, I got caught up in a rainstorm, thunder, and lightning. Yesterday, I guess they had a bleeping monsoon, and there's a video going around at Circa, and I was standing at the table with Dave Sharapan, Matt Peralt, Julian Edlow. We were doing some late night wagering on a Saturday night, looking at some futures and stuff. And you got water gushing through the TVs into the floor and into the Circa Sportsbook. So I hope all is well. Not just there, everyone else that got affected by that rain. SoCal just sent in and says this one switched over. All right, thank you, SoCal. We're glad you're here. Glad TJ's here, obviously. We're talking up his Mets, or we did. So, TJ, I think you're sitting pretty good here. Today's board, Red Sox, Bello was going to start. They moved Davis in. Davis is going to give him 1 or 2 innings, and then Bello's going to come in there. Bello has been beat up pretty good. Baltimore listing Bradish now at Cincinnati with Minor. Some interesting stuff. We're going back to TJ here. An overnight number of, listen, I'll just tell you this. Well, I'll say it this way. The overnight number on the Mets with Bassett was 160. Obviously, wherever they got that number, Alcantara, the best pitcher in baseball right now. Yes, I said that. ERA at 1.81 was not the listed pitchers there. So the corrected line is 117. But again, the Mets are favored there. And under over a 6.5. Westgate getting cute with 6 over. So if you get a 3-3, you would cash there. Interested in the Mikolas against Annabelle Sanchez. I mean, TJ, SoCal, we all, I think, could go 1 for 3 against Annabelle there. Phillies, Pittsburgh. You talked about the Phillies yesterday. Huge number on Wright versus Bumgarner. Arizona now finally traveling. They hit the crap out of the ball back at home. In comes Urias against Cool. There minus, like you said, the 230. Stroman versus Cobb. Interested that an overnight number of a 135 there. San Fran, did they end up winning last night, Scott?
They won.
Okay. So they finally break the schneid there. No respect to obviously Kansas City and Bubik there. Manoah against Garcia. Your limping offensive Tampa. I'm going to start comparing you to the Marlins when it comes to offense against Bieber. Bieber was in this spot earlier last week and got pummeled by the White Sox. Interesting, your thoughts there. Oakland goes to the White Sox. Caprillion, who's been pitching a lot better, by the way, versus Lynn. Which Lynn are you going to get there? The matchup of the day, Ray versus Verlander. Verlander is the king of the first 5, guys. He just been absolutely dominant in the first 5. Obviously, you got to play it minus the hook unless you got big cojones there. A Seattle team that's coming in, Hunt and Bear. Robbie Ray, fade Robbie Ray. We talked about that all the start of the season. Pitching pretty damn well right now. Martin Perez back to reality against Sandoval, actually, and Angels favorite there, which is surprising, maybe almost a little eye-opener. I talked about Bradish versus Minor there. Woodruff, what are you going to say? Woodruff against the Dead Sox. I can't wait for you. I would assume you're on the Brewers there in somehow, some way. And then another good matchup, Minnesota with Ryan versus Snell, which I think is a pretty good matchup as well. Board yours.
So this change in the Baltimore-Cincinnati game with Bradish pitching is a big mover in my numbers. So Kramer was who I had as the starting pitcher, and then it switched out. So he must be going to pitch tomorrow because Bradish just got off the disabled list pitching today. So that means you don't want to bet on Baltimore when you're got a guy coming off the disabled list. Now that's number 1. So number 2, when you look at what these guys are seasons are like, there's not many people worse than Bradish. There's just not. I mean, he's a minus 1.2 or 1.3 RA9 WAR for on the streamer side, and he's a minus, I think, 0.7 or 0.8 or something like that on the zip side. So when you think about what Kramer was doing, he was much better. So the updated number there that I have is I've got Baltimore minus 109, and I think the number's like Baltimore's minus like 120, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's not that far off from where the number really is or should be, but comparison to when Kramer was on the mound, I thought I had a pretty good edge with Baltimore. So that's not going to be the case today, and I don't bet on players that have come off the disabled list because I wait until they have a good start, and that usually takes 2 or 3 before that happens. So you can pick those guys off pretty easily. But I'm not going to bet on Minor either because he's just absolutely terrible. So that's just a total pass to that game. I don't like it that well. I can see why people would want to bet Baltimore, especially as they're doing. And SoCal just put some stuff about Mike Minor on there, but he's just awful. His last game score was a 15. He's a game score 37 in his last 7. He's a game score 36 for the season. He's got a 5.26 xFIP and a 4.66 ERA. So it's kind of a rough thing for Mike Minor here. So I'm just going to stay off it. Now I like the idea that, Baltimore is the better team here, but Bradish is not somebody I want to back. So, and especially as a road favorite, I think Baltimore's probably a better underdog type team. Anyway, that being said, moving on, New York Mets, Miami Marlins. This is an interesting matchup. So what I found interesting here is this is Bassett going against the Marlins. Now, not the last start or the start before that. He pitched against different teams, but he pitched against the Marlins 3 straight times. He's pitched against the Marlins 5 times this season already. And in those 5 starts, he's got a game score of 59. That's pretty damn good. I mean, that's ace-like. So he's been really good. Now, Alcantara has pitched pretty well. I mean, obviously he's the best pitcher in baseball. He's got a year-to-date game score 68, and his last 7's a 71, for God's sakes. So he's been really, really good. And Bassett is one of those guys that I always kind of compare to Oral Hershiser. Now, he's not Oral Hershiser, but he's got that bulldog mentality where he just doesn't give in. He just fights and fights and fights. And you're going to need that because you're of the pitcher you're facing today. My number in this game is the Miami Marlins being a favorite. So I think with Alcantara on the mound, that makes them a favorite. And the problem though is that you got to then support that offense. And yesterday they came back and won the game. I thought they probably should have won the game anyway, but going away a little bit, they just didn't capitalize on runs. So I don't like to bet this game on the total. I see a lot of people, the line came out 6.5 or 7 at some places. It's also dropped down to, I think, like 6 in other places. People thinking this game is going to go under. The more you see a pitcher, the more the batter has the ability to adjust to what he's seen. So he can see the spin, he can read how it comes out of the hand. And that's an advantage to the batters. So I would never bet this game under. They faced each other too many times. I mean, this will be the 6th time the Marlins have seen Bassett. So I'm not going that route. And the hardest part then is to sit there and go, okay, well, are you going to back and support Alcantara? And I'm not going to do it because I think that, yes, my opinion is that he should be the favorite, but at the same time that he should be the favorite, I can't back the offense. Now it's kind of interesting. Yesterday, I think, Jeff, we were talking about offenses and we were talking about runs scored. and now when you look at it from another level, the Mets have scored 19 runs in the last 7 days, and the Marlins have scored 28. So there's a little bit of perspective here. The Marlins offense isn't as bad lately as it has been most of the season. But I don't like it as strong enough to make a play. You know, you can call it a lean if you want to. But anytime you can get Alcantara at home, best pitcher in baseball as a dog, against a pitcher they've seen 5 times, I think you might put pizza and beer money on it, something like that. Anyway, the next game I do like. It's the only one on the board I like to play. Go ahead.
So our friend SoCal has joined us the last 2 days, and he's the numbers guy. So this is, again, what I do is I'm a market guy. I'm a numbers guy. I leave the logo and the name on the backs alone. I'm the market guy. Scotty does his own numbers. He creates everything on his own. He is the statistician, the scientist. That's what we're doing. Why we're doing what we're doing here. We've created a Patreon, a Discord channel where we want everyone to come on board so you can get behind the desk of the madman here. But I just wanted to give out some of the information just so everyone can see what some other people are seeing here, where SoCal talks about Minor's worst year is career, first time ever, ERA over 6, first time since his rookie year, a WAR rating minus 0.5 current year versus minus 0.6 rookie year. Mets 8-3 with Bassett as favorite this season. 4-0 as road favorites. Mets 18-2 straight up as favorites against a team they lost to in their last head-to-head. Marlins 0-10 straight up as home dogs against right-handed pitchers. Marlins 9-14 at home against winning teams. 3-9 as dogs, and 2-4 at home with Alcantara as a starting pitcher. Great stuff from SoCal. Great stuff from you.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. I like how it all kind of plays out. It gives everybody the option of how they want to play. So, but this is the game that I did play. This is St. Louis and Washington. What was my number on this game? I think I had Mikolas. I'm looking for what I bet. My number that I bet was it was minus 160. So I know I'm starting to creep up there for some of you guys out there, but listen, if you want to get into the games and you want to get on the right side, sometimes you got to do this. So I bet Michaelis minus 160. My number in this game for that game was minus 249. So I got a big edge to St. Louis here against Anibal Sanchez. So what I ran across is Michaelis last time out was a game score 31, and his game score for the season's a 58. So he's been really good, almost ace-like. His game score for the last 7 games is a 54. Then he has pitched, I shouldn't say recently, his last 5 starts against St. Louis, his game score 52. So he's been above average in all of that. What was good is his ERA minus is a 97, which is just a little bit better than average. And when you come across to, he's not a big strikeout guy, but he doesn't put guys on base. But his whip rate 1.08 and his batting average against 237. So he's not putting guys on, and they have to earn their way on. And this is the Washington Nationals, where you have Anibal Sanchez. He's made 2 starts. In those 2 starts, he's a game score 42, and he's been about a 40 in every one of those games. So he was a 42 and a 38. That was his numbers in his starts. That's not very good. And he got 4 innings in those games. And then when you start to think about where these guys kind of are, St. Louis is number 7 in offense right now. And when you look at where Washington is, they are number 28. That's a big gap. The other thing that was good here is, you remember yesterday we talked about Wheeler, and we talked about how he pitches in night games. Well, you got a similar thing going on here with Michaelis. Michaelis is a game score 98 in daytime. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I shouldn't say game score. That's the wrong word. He is a SOPS plus during the day, 98. So just a little bit better than average in the daytime. But at nighttime, he is an SOPS plus of 52. That means he's 48% better at night versus the lineup he's facing. And Sanchez at night, 148. He's 48% worse, and he's going to face a team in St. Louis that really hasn't had, Arenado's back now, Goldschmidt's back now, so the muscle's back in this lineup. So I'm liking this a lot. I think this is going to be, one of those games that, here we go, Washington doesn't hit, St. Louis does. You got a better pitcher on the mound, got the better bullpen, all the same stuff that lines up. So give me St. Louis minus the 160. My number is way higher than that. So I think there's a lot of value there. I see at least 11, and that was at 176. So it's at least 12, 13% our return on investment value in the line. And then the way I handicap the game. Now, the next one is Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. This one is one I wouldn't touch. Yesterday was a great spot, good matchup. This is Falter, and Falter's been really bad. His numbers don't indicate how bad he really truly has been. He's got a game score 30 last time out, but he's a game score 40 for the season. And he's going to face Quintana, who's been pretty good. His game score for the season's a 52, which is a bit above average. And I thought he was washed. I thought he was totally done. So it's a little bit better than I thought it was going to be for Quintana, but he's off a game score 77, so I don't want to support him either. So when you kind of look at this, I thought, okay, well, there's probably a little bit of an edge. My line is Philadelphia minus 102. That's not very much. And I think the line really is Philadelphia is like minus 110, 115. So it's about the same. But in terms of where I handicap the game, I think Pittsburgh probably has more of an edge. Trouble is that Pittsburgh's been on a losing streak. I think their last four they've lost, and I don't think that's going to bode well going into tonight's game. So I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, go play them. It was interesting yesterday's game, Kansas City and the Yankees 1-0 home run judge in the last inning to win the game. Singer was really good, but Taillon was really good. So it was just interesting how the game played out. I don't think you're going to see that tonight. Bubik's on the mound tonight, and he's been a little better than what I thought he was going to be. His last three, his game scores a 59, so that's pretty good. But over his last seven, it's a 47. So kind of gives you an idea that he's been really bad. And currently, how we talked about St. Louis being the number one team against left-handed hitters or pitchers. It's not them anymore. It's the New York Yankees. So it's they're going to face Bubik. He's a lefty. I expect them to do pretty well offensively against him. And he has pitched against the Yankees before. And his last 5 starts against the Yankees, he's a game score of 43. What I thought was interesting was Garrett Cole has not pitched that much against the Royals. He's pitched some, but not a lot. But he has dominated him. I mean, he's a 66 game score against him in those last 5. He's been really good this year. I know he's got his ups and his downs, and people don't think he's as good as he used to be. And he probably isn't. Year-to-date game score numbers are 59. So that's not like some of the guys that are out there, because he has some of those games that are really bad. But his xFIP number is 2.64. His Sierra number 2.75. ERA minus 87. That's really good stuff. So I'm seeing him being able to dominate the Royals lineup tonight. But I'm not going to go out and support it. What is it? Minus almost, 360 or some stupid number like that? 380?
365 at Circuit, 370 at Westgate, a whopping 380 at DraftKings. Probably. Oh, I do see a 400. The consensus has it at 400. So my first pitch will be 400.
Yeah, there you go. It ain't gonna happen. What are you gonna do? So you're gonna have to figure out how to play those games, and then you got to go in there and do stupid shit, right? Because he's gonna win the game. They're gonna win the game, and then you're gonna go, oh, okay, well they're gonna win, so I got to go. Was it team total probably over 5 or 6 or 7 or something?
5.5.
Some crazy numbers like that. So anyway, and against the Yankee team that hasn't been scoring a lot of runs. I mean, shit, they scored one yesterday, and then they had trouble scoring any runs against the Mets. So, and I get it; it's not the Mets pitching that they're going to see tonight, but at the same time, teams kind of do what they do for a little bit of length of time here. So there's no way you're going to get me in on this game, and you're not going to get me in on the next one either. Detroit and Toronto, it's the same thing, right? Minus 365 or something. For Manoah. And I get it. I don't know if anybody knows who Garcia is. This is not the same Garcia that was the starting pitcher for Detroit earlier this year. This is Brian Garcia. Brian Garcia has been around a little bit. He has pitched and made starts for Detroit. Not this year. This will be the first one. But he started a game or two last year, and he started a game or two the year before that. His WAR number for all of his lifetime pitching in Major League Baseball is negative 0.6. I mean, it's not good. So he's not one of those guys that you're going to go out there and go, oh my God, he's going to do this, and he's going to be one of these young studs that's going to do a lot. Their expectation level is that, he's not going to pitch well tonight. So Toronto's going to blow this team up. Manoah's going to pitch well. But again, the book knows it. That's why they're minus 365, $80 million or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. So I'm not getting involved in that. Cleveland and Tampa Bay, interesting game because I got some numbers here that I was really digging because Bieber is off a game score 25, automatic start for him. I mean, hey, let's go bet on Bieber tonight. And he's got a game score 59 against Tampa Bay. So he's been really good in his history against Tampa Bay. So I'm sitting here and I'm going, this is where we want to go. Until I go and say, well, the Tampa Bay Rays at home, they played 49 games. They're 31-18 at home. And then when you change it around just a little bit, and go, we got a left-handed starter going. Springs has been average. He hasn't been great. He's been average, but he's left-handed. The Cleveland Guardians, I didn't say Indians today, Cleveland Guardians are number 29 in offense against left-handed pitching. That's almost dead last. So it makes it real hard to support the Guardians, especially off a game yesterday where, they had all the edges and still lost to Boston. The guy hits a 3-run home run and they lose the game because they can't score. They had guys on base. They just didn't bring them in. So it is what it is. I mean, that's the trouble when you think about a team like Cleveland and you go, they're pretty good. They might even win their own division. And then you got to match them up to the last place team in the American League East, and they don't match up. That's kind of what it is. That you play in soft divisions. You got to remember that the team that's in the soft division, when they play better quality opponents, isn't going to look as good. So I can't support Bieber tonight, even though I felt like he was the right choice, because I don't know that Cleveland's strong enough to go in and overcome the deficits that they have on offense and the strength that Tampa Bay has of playing at home. But I'm not going to support them either because I think the better pitcher's on the other side. The next game is Woodruff against Boston. I like Woodruff. I didn't like him at the beginning of the season because, I don't know, whatever he was doing, he had his velocity. He just didn't have stuff. Then he went on the disabled list, and now he's back. Since he's been off the disabled list, he's only got a game score 63. It's ace-like. He's dominating everybody and their brother. He's doing very well. I mean, he's got an ERA minus of 55. So he's pitching great. Milwaukee's offense is doing pretty good. And I think they're in a situation tonight where they can capitalize on the pitching they're going to see. But the line is right. My number was minus 160, and I think that's where it is. It's like minus 160, 158. And I'm like, okay, well, where's the value? I don't think there is any. So if the line's right, then you kind of look for another spot. So I passed on the Milwaukee game. The Arizona and Atlanta game was interesting too, only in a sense that Bumgarner's been pitching better than most people thought he would. I didn't think he was going to even probably survive the season the way that he finished the last couple of years. But he is off a game score 76. That's pretty good for him. And truthfully, it's the most innings he's thrown his last start and the most pitches he's thrown and the best performance that he's had. That lines up for Atlanta. Okay, figure out how you're going to bet them. I'm not going to get involved in this. I've got Atlanta minus 240. The number's like 210, 215, something like that. That's pretty close. I don't see enough value in there to go betting on Atlanta. And then you got to flip it to the run line. And then when I looked at like the first five, I think it was like minus 150 or 60 or something. I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. So Wright I like, but Wright's hittable. He's not a dominant strikeout guy. And so I'm just going to stay off of it, even though I think Atlanta's going to win that game. Seattle and Houston, you talked about Robbie Ray against the Verlander. Robbie Ray, Jeff, is off a game score 8. That's pretty good news if you're going to want to bet on Seattle. And Verlander's off of a game score 69. Both of them are facing the same teams that they just finished facing. So there's kind of that role reversal type start where you go, hey, this is a pretty good spot for Seattle. And I believe that it probably is. The trouble that I'm having with this is the 3 times that Robbie Ray has faced Houston in the last 5 years, his game score is 29. 29. He gets bombed every time he faces them. So maybe that's just the thing. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he gets either intimidated by the lineup. Maybe it's just the batters can see him or whatever. And here's another one of those guys. We talked about Bassett, right? He pitched, I don't know, 5 times, and this will be the 6th time against the Marlins. Well, holy shit. Verlander has pitched 5 times against Seattle already this year. 5 times. And his game score in those 5 games, 62. Dominance, man. So that tells me that I can't go back in Robbie Ray.
And Verlander, like I said, has been Cy Verlander, obviously, this year. He's got a damn 2-win lead over Manoah and Gilbert on our Westgate big super ticket, our futures there. Talking to Julian Edlow today, you talked about why Ray has struggled against the Astros. Altuve owns Ray. So anyone watching, listening here, there's a prop over 1.5 hits or bases. Grab that. You can get Altuve plus 400 for a home run. I don't have a problem with some pizza and beer there. And SoCal just added here, Astros 12-2 money line versus the Mariners when Verlander is a starting pitcher. And I have him on our season-long fantasy team. So I'm in a double-edged sword here because I can't root against him because I got 20,000 on the line there. But my future tickets got 25 and 30,000 possible on the line. So I'm in one of those catch-22s here, but numbers don't lie, guys. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, it's just a weird spot, right? Because normally you would go and say, "Hey, this is the time to back Robbie Ray," but the history tells you not to. So when you got cross-referenced of numbers like that, you either have to go and say, "Hey, I'm going to take the history," or just back off the game and pick another one. I mean, that's kind of what you do is you got to sit there and sort of sort it through. The next one is Caprillion and Lynn. This is Oakland and the White Sox, Oakland and the White Sox. Caprillion, his last game start was a 65. His last 7's a 49.6, so 50. But his last 3 is a 54. I still don't like Caprillion, even though he's gotten a little bit better. I mean, he's not gone crazy. And Lance Lynn made a great start the last time out. So I don't know if that means he's kind of recovered from where he's at or what the hell is going on with Lance Lynn. But he did a game score 73. So, hey, good for you, brother. Lance Lynn made a great start. Oh my God. So think about this. His last start was a game score 73. In his last three is a 39, and he had a 73. He's just been god awful. It's just been terrible. So has he turned the corner? Well, do you want to pay it out?
This way and this way, looking at the balls flying out.
I mean, do you want to pay the price? I don't want to pay the price to see if he turned the corner, even though it is against Oakland. So again, this is just a look. I'm just going to let it ride and let it see what happens and go on about the next one. And the next one, you got Urias against Colorado. And you saw him yesterday. They beat the snot out of Colorado. That Urena guy got in there and he got bombed in the first inning, and then he got bombed again, and then they took him out, and then Gomber came in and he got bombed, and then they just kept bombing everybody. So today it's Urias against Chad Kuhl. Now, this is kind of different. Chad Kuhl's off a game score 22. His last 7 is a 42, so that's not very good. And his for the season's a 47. He's supposed to be one of their better pitchers. Just remember, he's from Pittsburgh, so the Pirates, and the Pirates had pretty good success against the Dodgers. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go that route. But the point I'm trying to make here is that anything can happen in baseball. These teams played each other earlier this season. Chad Kuhl pitched against the Dodgers, and he threw a complete game 3 hit shutout, game score 92 against the Dodgers. So don't think this shit can't happen, because it does. And Oakland just swept, I don't know, whoever they swept. They swept the Astros and stuff. Baseball is not about consistency in terms of game to game. It's consistency in terms of series. If you count the number of series the Yankees have won, the Astros have won, or whoever else has won, it's way better than some of these other teams, because if you lose 2 out of 3, you're going to lose the series, right? If you win 2 out of 3, you win the series. And that's still allowing you to lose a game. And that's going to happen. They're going to lose because they play 162 games. It's the only sport that we have that truly defines a team by the strength of the team. Now, when you get to the playoffs, it's totally different because they're small series and you need good pitching. So in this particular case, Urias game score 74 the last time out, 60 in his last 7 starts. So game score 55 on the season, but he's not been good against Colorado. That doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and tell you to go back Colorado. I don't think that you also should sit here and go back Urias, because he's off a game score of 72. His season's a 55. His last 5 against Colorado is a 45. So it's not very good. So for whatever reason, he doesn't do well against Colorado, and it could be that he doesn't do good in Colorado. So I'm just going to skip that one altogether. Then you got Texas, Perez, and Sandoval, another interesting matchup, only in a sense that Sandoval, we talked about yesterday. SoCal brought up that he was a minus 200 pitcher for the Angels a couple times. He's had a very disappointing season, by the way. Game score 46 in his last 7 starts. He's a game score 52, which is slightly better than average. But, he's going to face Texas, which is not the biggest offensive team. But, they got Perez on the mound today, and Perez has been pretty good. Now, he's off a game score 70, which I thought was, holy shit, I thought he was done. I thought, okay, he had a great start to the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden I'm figuring he's going to go away. Well, 70 is not going away. But his last 7 starts, game score 55. That's pretty good. And his game score for the season is 59. So that's almost ace-like. I'm expecting him to keep getting hit. So I can't support Texas, even though he's off a game score 70. I think that he's going to get hit. I think Sandoval is going to pitch much better. But how do you support a team that just keeps losing all the time, and they just don't even – I don't think they even act like they want to play. You brought it up with Mike Trout earlier today. I think there's some negativity there between the players, and I think there's some issues. And to be honest, I could see them trade Mike Trout, trade Ohtani, get rid of all those guys and blow it all up and start over. You're going to get a whole bunch of players for those guys, so just start over, because you ain't got nothing anyway with those guys on their team. So just see what you can do and move forward. You brought up Minnesota and San Diego. Ryan and Snell is a good pitching matchup. I believe that to be the case. I also believe that Ryan, even though he's got good numbers. Do you know where he came from, by the way, before he went to Minnesota, Jeff? Just think of good pitching teams. He was a Tampa Bay Ray.
Tampa Bay.
So just imagine if they could have that guy back. I mean, shit, that's what they need. They need goddamn pitching. Anyway, well, they need offense too, but shit, they need a lot of stuff. Anyway, he's off a game score 67. Snell's off a game score 60.
Was that part of the Cruz deal?
I don't remember. It might have been. I think it was.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was. Ryan is off a game score 67. He's got a 51 in his last 7 starts. So that's just a barely above average. And he's a 56 on the season. Now, what I find interesting about Ryan is he doesn't have dynamic stuff. I mean, his stuff is not where you're going to throw a 97-mile-an-hour fastball and he's going to dominate people. But he does get strikeouts. He's got 8. He gets 8 per 9 innings, which barely makes the list of being good. He just doesn't walk anybody. And his problem is fly balls. So when he faces a team that has fly balls, the issue is that he gives up the power shots. So if you got a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, he's going to be pretty good. Now, San Diego is that team that doesn't get a lot of hits, but when they do get their hits, they're power shots. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. And Snell has been a lot better. Now, he's got off a game score 62. He's up to a game score 50 on the season because he was way down there. So he's way better than he was. And he's got he leads the board today on strikeouts per 9 innings. 15. He's just out there striking out everybody. Problem is he's walking everybody too. He's got 6 walks per 9 innings. So I can't support a guy that's going to walk guys and put them on base. I just can't. So that puts me in a big bind here because I think San Diego has a way to attack Ryan, and I think Minnesota, because I think they're how do I say this the right way? I don't think they're a dynamic offense, but I think they're an offense that capitalizes on the things that are given to them, and I think Snell's going to give them stuff. Now, if you go back to when Snell was a Tampa Ray and he played Minnesota was a team that hit the shit out of him. It didn't matter when he was good, bad. It didn't matter. Minnesota hit him. His numbers against Minnesota, not good. So I don't think they're going to fear him coming into that game. So I kind of like the idea that this game's going to be a real tight one. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of runs here. I don't know what the total was. I don't remember.
7 and a hook.
So I would tell you to go over that number. But it's going to be hard. But he's going to give you the opportunities. They will. They're going to give you the chance. They're going to get guys on base. And then the last one, Stroman and Cobb. You know how good Stroman's been? Holy shit. Stroman in his last 7 starts, 61. 61. Now, 7 is not the right way to say this. He's a guy that came off the disabled list and did well. He's one of the rare guys. That 61 number that I'm talking about is 3 starts. Because once they go on the disabled list and come off, I don't go back and say, well, I want to know what you did before you went on the disabled list, because I could give a shit. I want to know what you did after. And he's doing pretty good. He's got a 61.7. So he's due for a bad game, really. I mean, that's kind of what it is. I guess the right way to say that, due is a wrong word. He's regression ripe, is what I like to say. Cobb is off a game score of 47. He's been pretty good. His last 7 starts his game score of 53, almost 54. So that's well above average. It's not, it's not an ace-like number. But look at these numbers. Stroman 2.73 and 3.11 xFIP in Sierra. And then Cobb 3.41, 3.75. That's pretty good stuff. So again, I think you're going to run into the idea, just like yesterday. You got good pitching on the mound today. Steele was on the mound yesterday against Wood, right? And we talked about Wood being the better pitcher, just whether or not San Francisco was going to score. I think today you got Stroman being the better pitcher, but he's due for a regression. And I think that you got Cobb, who's kind of due for progression, like better spot. And they just won yesterday. So I think the right side here is San Francisco. The line that I saw earlier today was 134. My line's 134, so I can't find any value to bet it. So I passed. So I played one game. The one game I played was that St. Louis Mikolas minus 160. That's what I did.
An intriguing board, amazing breakdown from you, SoCal. It's just intriguing how all of us can come together and come up with the numbers that we do here. For me, just looking at this board, I'm going to sink my teeth into it once we close up shop here, and then really use the spaghetti strainer. We're on a brutal week so far. Took yesterday off, looking to get a couple wins under our belt to get into that weekend and hopefully chip away there, as August 1st is on Monday. I know you did most of the talking, so and I forgot to say the magic words yesterday, so I'm going to say them today. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Webb?
Well, I've been doing a lot of football work, Jeff, and I've got 3 plays on the NFL total or season win totals, if you want them. The idea being that there might be some more as I dig into some of these a little deeper, but I'm going to support Tennessee. I think I might even give this out earlier already. Tennessee under 9 wins. That was minus 115. And you might even have minus 8.5 at places, but I'm okay with that because I was waiting to see if it would be able to have an alternate win total of under 8 even, and get a little bit of plus money if you could do that, because I think it's worthwhile. I think Tennessee is one of those teams that I talked about having sort of, I don't want to call them fake wins because no wins in the NFL are fake, but they had all those close wins. And when you take the close wins away, that kind of shows you what kind of team they are. And they're an under 500 team. And then when you start to look at, what the teams and conference that they play in have gotten better, and they really haven't. I think they're actually gotten a little worse. And their schedule is not nearly as friendly. So I like the idea here that Tennessee is going to play under the number. I love the idea that New Orleans is going to play over the number. The New Orleans Saints. That's the highest one that I played in terms of juice. It was over 8 minus 135. I don't like Winston that well, but I do like what they have. They get some players back. Now they have to gel. I mean, you got to get the wide receiver to match up now with a new quarterback, and but their defense, I think, is what keeps them in all these games. So I think that gives them the opportunity. I know that Kamara might not play for a little while. I know different things, but the truth of the matter here, I think, is that they're in a good spot to at least win 8 games. I mean, shit, if they go, what do they play 17 games now? So shit, they can go 8 and 9 and when you push. So all they got to do is be a little better than 500. So I like that idea. And then the last one that I played was Arizona Cardinals under 8.5. I got it at minus 115. In doing a little analysis and some research and if you guys are familiar with Pro Football Outsiders, they wrote a really good article here about this team. And the truth of the matter is, their offense went away in the middle of the season last year. It went away in the middle of the season the year before. And in last year, I was all over this team thinking they're the best team in football for a long time. And then their defense had to try to hold them in the games at the end of the season, and they just couldn't do it. So again, it's one of those kind of teams that barely held on to where they were, barely got a playoff spot, then got smashed in the playoffs. Well, their schedule is a lot harder this year, and their wide receiver Hopkins, he's going to be out for, I think it's the first 6 games or maybe 8 games, can't remember. But anyway, 6. He's going to be out for a little bit. Their running backs aren't as good as they have been, and their defense lost some. So the defense is what's kept this team viable, and now the defense isn't as good as it used to be. So then you bring back, a quarterback that's been whiny and goofy, and I don't know what the heck the quarterback's problem is. He acts like he's done something in the NFL, but I mean, shit, I don't even think they've won. Well, maybe they did the year before. I don't think they won a playoff game with him. So maybe they won the year before, but they didn't win last year. So you got to sit here and you go, holy cow, what's going on? And they got Kingsbury as a quarterback or the coach, who Warren Sharp I thought was a little high on, to be honest. He's got him as a top 10 head coach. Maybe he's a top 10 numbers and cents guy, but I don't know if he's a top 10 head coach. So I think that they play in a tough division too, because they're going to have to battle San Francisco and the Rams, and I just have a hard time with Arizona being better than they were last year. I like them under the 8.5.
I agree with everything you said there. I do. I'm in on Indy with a surprise in that division of Jacksonville. Yes, I said it, guys. Jacksonville. They got rid of the meathead who just destroyed that team, and I like what I'm hearing. Another year for Lawrence. ETN will be healthy and back. Robinson will be okay. Won't be 100% early, but it will take some time there. I think the defense will be a little better. They added Kirk. They added Ingram at tight end. It's going to take a while for them to gel, but I like Indy there. I think Tennessee finally takes that step back. No A.J. Brown. They add Treylon Burks. They also add Robert Woods. But I am agreeing with you with that one. Yes, with the Saints as well. Listen, I'm not buying the hype with Brady, 45, 55, 35, whatever. They just added another name. Yes, I said it, a name. Okay. Julio Jones has been done for years now. I mean, it's just, AB 101. That's all you added. You lose Gronk. Godwin, Evans banged up, whatever. You don't have a tight end. You got Cameron Brate and the cloud of dust, yada, yada, yada. The fact is, you'll probably win the division, don't get me wrong, because Atlanta's that bad. Atlanta is putrid. But I like where your eyes are with the Saints. And Arizona's funny because, yes, they were the greatest team since sliced bread to start the year. They retracted Kyler's contract with that little had to do 4 hours of homework. Where Kyler whining again, as you would say. They lose Christian Kirk to the Jaguars as well. Hopkins out for 6 weeks. Connor's back as a running back. Will not duplicate what he did last year. I will say this again, fantasy guys, absolutely love the addition of Marquise Brown. He played with him at Oklahoma. There's going to be instant chemistry with no Kirk. Hopkins out and AJ Green, a shell of himself. So if you are drafting or getting ready to draft or whatever, remember this, Marquise Brown, you can get him in that right around 4-5. Make sure you add him to your team. You can thank me later on that one. So with all that, I can't thank everyone enough. The last 2 shows, especially, a ton of questions, a ton of information. Thank you. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to try to be on with Riley. We're going to get the day and night set up for everyone there. Currently think, I'm just throwing this out there, we're going to be dark Sunday and Monday. I have some family stuff on Sunday and Monday, awake in a funeral that I must attend. So I will post some stuff on my timeline. Scotty will throw some stuff out there as well. I posted on the crawler the whole time. Ask Scotty what $2 a day can get you. What it can get you is the ECSI VIP experience. It's our place sent to your cell phone and emailed daily. You don't have to leave work, the golf course, the gym, wherever. They're sent to you directly. A link to our Discord channel where we break down. We're the mad scientists. We share a lot of stuff on these shows, don't get me wrong, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to build the community of people that think the same way, that have the same goals, that want to bring stuff to the table. When you ask a question, we answer it. That's all. It's very simple. And if you throw out some information to us, we're going to repeat it so everyone else can see it. There's no shame in anyone's game here. That's what we're here to do, is to try to build this big community. And $2 a day, $59.99 a month, it's a gym membership. It doesn't even keep the lights on, guys. Trust me on that. It's just basically to throw, well, no pun intended here, parlaying the money into the business, into the company, because we got bigger and better fish to fry and things moving on, to talking potentially of actually building and creating our own network, whether it's on a Roku, whether it's on a Fubo or something like that, going live on Twitch. And there's just so much that we want to do, but it takes time and it takes money and it takes financing. So we're trying our best to get to that level. Listen, we're putting out just as good, if not better, content than the big dogs at DraftKings, FanDuel, Barstools. The only difference is, they got $250 million marketing budgets, and they got teams and staffs of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and we just got a handful of people back here. But we've been here since 2015, January 1st. So we're not going anywhere. And I can't thank you guys enough. Without you, there's no ECSI. So with all that said, please, please, please remember this. If you are wagering and investing tonight, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number. Just ask for help. That's all. It's that simple. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Have a blessed day, a good evening to start the weekend. Don't be that guy with the pizza on the oven and the wife calling at 10:30 is just sweating out the start of the West Coast games. Love you guys. See you soon.